So welcome to lecture 22nd of course Polymer Science and Technology. Today we will start the unit 3rd. Unit 3rd is related with the rheology of the polymer. Today we will see the introduction to deformational behavior of polymers. As of now we have studied fluid mechanics and solid mechanics in our previous classes. Okay. In case of fluid mechanics, we have studied flow and deformational behavior of Newtonian fluid, just like water, etc. Whereas in case of the solid mechanics that we have already learned in the previous classes, we have gone through the deformational behavior of elastic materials, purely elastic materials such as steel, iron, etc. Okay. But what about in case of polymers? Polymers are neither Newtonian fluid when they are melted in the melted form, nor they are Hookean solid or elastic material. But polymers are viscoelastic material. Viscoelastic material, they show the some property of the viscous material, of a fluid-like material, and some property of a solid elastic-like material. That why there is a new term, viscoelasticity. Okay. So according to definition, the melt solution rheology of the polymer is the study of deformation and flow of non-Newtonian fluids like polymer melt, coal tar, etc. And viscoelasticity is the study of deformational behavior in solid state of polymers. So why polymers are viscoelastic material? Because they exhibit the property of a viscous material as well as elastic material. That's why we'll call the polymer as a viscoelastic material. Now introduction to polymer rheology. Rheology may be of a different kind. For example, rheology of the food is a different, rheology of the blood is different, rheology of the polymer is different. So in this course we are mainly focused on the rheology of the polymers. We all know that the polymer or any solid material can exist in three forms: solid, liquid and gas. But in case of polymer, it exists only in the form of solid or in the molten form. If you try to vaporize it by heating, polymer will degrade, but it will not convert to gaseous form. So gaseous form is not possible in case of polymer. This is because polymers are having very large molecular weight. Raw materials form polymers is available in the form of granules, powders, flakes and liquid resin. So this is the form of the polymer in which it is commercially available in the market. And the role of polymer processing is to convert the raw material, polymer raw material, into finished good. But in order to convert the polymer raw material into finished good, we have to do the processing of the polymer. And processing of the polymer involves the melting of the polymer. Unless we will not melt the polymer, we cannot provide shape to the polymer. For example, if we want to make the cabinet of a mobile phone, so for that we have to melt down the polymer either in the granular form or in the powder form or in the flax form or the liquid resin form. In any form polymer is there, we have to melt it. Okay. Then this molten polymer will go inside the mold, where it will flow to the interiors of the product geometry and it will acquire the shape of the mold. And finally, upon cooling, it will become solidify if it is thermoplastic polymer, and it will form the finished goods. So in this all processing step, melting of the polymer and flow inside the mold involves the rheological part, because rheology is nothing but a study of flow and deformation. Okay, so polymer processing involves the melting and flow of the polymer inside the mold or the die. That's why polymer rheology plays an important role while doing the proper polymer processing. Here, melting of the polymer can be characterized by some thermal characterization parameters such as glass transition, temperature, melting point, softening temperature, and degradation temperature. Polymer should be melted, so the processing temperature must be more than the melting point of the polymer, but it should be much less than the degradation temperature of the polymer. So in nutshell, we can say we have to do the polymer processing between the TM and T degradation. Okay. So related to the flow inside the mold and melting of the polymer, knowledge of rheology is important for the proper polymer processing. And here what I already told you, that the TP processing temperature must be less than the degradation temperature, and it should be more than the melting point of the polymer. For example, in case of polypropylene PP, the melting point is somewhere around 165 degrees centigrade, and the degradation of the polypropylene will start somewhere around 300 to 400 degrees centigrade. So we have to do the processing of polypropylene in between these two temperature extremes. Generally, polypropylene is being processed at temperature around 180 to 240 degrees centigrade. Okay. Now, by definition, polymer rheology is the study of the flow and deformational behavior of the polymer. Correct. So, the main parameter that governs the rheology is the viscosity. How we can define the viscosity? Viscosity is the resistance to flow. Viscosity defines the rate of flow, whether the flow is slow or fast, it depends upon the viscosity. Type of flow, whether the flow is the laminar or the flow is the turbulent, it also depends upon the viscosity, because if you see the Reynolds number, viscosity plays an important role in the Reynolds number equation. Reynolds number is inversely proportional to viscosity. So higher the viscosity, lesser will be the Reynolds number. Okay, and also it defines the nature of flow, whether the flow is Newtonian flow or non-Newtonian flow. Newtonian flow, I have already told you, such as water, honey, glycerine. These are the liquids that follows the Newton's law of viscosity. And non-Newtonian fluids are polymer melt, polymer solution, slurry, ketchup, blood, and food such as ice cream, etc. So you can see the Reynolds number is given as you have already known, aware about it, dV rho by mu, where d is the diameter of the pipe, v is the velocity of the fluid, rho is the density of the fluid, and mu is the viscosity of the liquid. So in case of polymer melt and solution, the Reynolds number usually is less than 100. That's mean it is very much in the laminar region. We cannot process the polymer in turbulent region because of the very huge viscosity of the polymer. Because of this huge value of the mu, Reynolds number cannot be more than 100 or 150, like that. Okay. Now let us quickly go through the Newton's law of viscosity. You have already come across it in your fluid mechanics course. So in short, let me tell you that the Newton's law of viscosity says that shear stress applied on a fluid is proportional to shear strain rate, gamma dot. This shear strain rate is nothing but the velocity gradient, del u over del y. I hope you remember it. Now tau, which is the shear stress, is proportional to gamma dot. This dot represents the rate. Del u over del y is the rate velocity gradient. So gamma dot represents the rate. only gamma represents the shear strain, gamma dot represents the shear strain rate. Now, when we'll put a coefficient of proportionality mu or eta, the equation will become tau is equal to mu gamma dot, where this coefficient of proportionality is coefficient of the viscosity. Sometimes it is being referred as mu. In some other literature, you will find notation of eta also. So both are used very much, and the unit of the viscosity is Pascal second. There are several units like stroke, centi-stroke, but the IS unit is the Pascal second, and the shear stress is having unit megapascal, kilopascal, pascal, and the unit of the shear strain rate is per second or second inverse, whereas the unit of the shear strain is its unitless, but shear strain rate is having unit per second or second inverse. So this equation tau is equal to mu times gamma dot is nothing but an equation of a straight line, where y is the tau, m is the mu, and x is the gamma dot. So if we plot gamma dot on the x-axis and tau on the y-axis, this will give me a straight line passing from the origin, because the c component is not here, that's when it's 0. So a straight line passing from the origin. This is the equation. From here we can say that the slope of the straight line represents the viscosity of the Newtonian fluid. Higher the slope, greater will be the viscosity. So just looking at the graph between tau and gamma dot, we can tell whether this liquid is of high viscosity or the low viscosity. Here there are two fluids having viscosity mu1 and mu2. You can see that the fluid having higher viscosity will represents the higher slope. So just looking at the slope, you can tell which one is having higher viscosity. Okay. So Newton's law of viscosity, in short, tau is equal to mu times gamma dot. This is the Newton's law of viscosity. So those fluid or liquid that follows this law, they are called as Newtonian fluid, and those do not follow are called non-Newtonian fluid. So you have already studied the Newtonian fluid in your course fluid mechanics in quite a detail, but polymer melt and solution, they are non-Newtonian fluid, and in this polymer rheology part we will be mainly focusing on non-Newtonian fluids. So in case of non-Newtonian fluid, the Newtonian relationship is not valid. That means our equation tau is equal to mu times gamma dot is not valid for non-Newtonian fluid. This equation will not, when we will perform the experiment with the non-Newtonian fluid and try to plot shear stress with respect to shear strain rate, we will not get a straight line relationship between shear stress and shear strain rate. Our plot will be something like this. Okay, non-linear relationship between shear stress and shear strain rate. When we'll get this kind of relationship, then we'll call that the fluid is non-Newtonian. And most of the polymer melt, they are non-Newtonian. This we have to keep it in mind. Now just quickly look at the non-Newtonian fluids. This is the classical diagram you must have seen during your fluid mechanics course. Here, of course, this graph A is for the Newtonian, so that you can compare, and graph B, C, D, E, F, they all are representing the non-Newtonian fluid. The curve D is also a straight line, but having some intercept, and this intercept is known as the threshold value of stress, tau naught. So this type of fluid is known as the Bingham plastic fluid, and it behaves like Newtonian fluid only, but requires a threshold value of the shear stress to be applied to start the flow. Okay, so this is the Bingham plastic, and the B and C. If I plot between the shear strain rate versus viscosity, because in case of non-Newtonian fluid, the viscosity is a function of shear strain rate. That means if we'll increase or change the shear strain rate, the viscosity of the fluid is going to change. Okay. However, in case of Newtonian fluid, the viscosity of the Newtonian fluid is not a function of shear strain rate. That you have to keep it in mind very clearly. In case of non-Newtonian fluid, viscosity is a function of shear strain rate, whereas in case of Newtonian fluid, the viscosity of the fluid is not a function of shear strain rate. That's mean in case of Newtonian fluid, if we vary or change the applied shear strain rate, the viscosity is not going to be affected. Viscosity of the fluid will change depending upon the temperature or some other factor, but it will not vary with the applied shear strain rate. For example, if you take a glass of water and stir it with the help of a spoon, whether you will whether the viscosity of the water is going to change? No. Either you rotate it slowly or rotate it very fast, but the viscosity is not going to be affected by the speed of your rotation. Speed of rotation is nothing but the shear strain rate that you are applying to the fluid. But in case of a non-Newtonian fluid, for example, if you take a container having some paint and try to stir it with the help of a glass rod, you will observe that if you stir it slowly, viscosity is the different. If you stir it very fast, then the viscosity will be different. So the fluid in which viscosity is a function of applied shear strain, that fluids are known as non-Newtonian fluid. Okay. Here I am going to plot the viscosity versus shear strain rate for non-Newtonian fluid. Of course, fluid A is a Newtonian fluid. Here you can see that the viscosity is not changing with respect to gamma dot. It is maintaining a constant value. Okay. Just like water, the viscosity of water will not change whether you stir it fast or slow. It will remain same. But in case of non-Newtonian fluid, you can see when the viscosity was somewhere here, high viscosity, but when you will increase the shear strain rate, the viscosity will keep on falling. So the fluid that shows the decrease in the viscosity with respect to increase in the shear strain rate, they are known as shear thinning fluid. And opposite to that, the fluid that exhibit increase in the viscosity with respect to increase in the shear strain rate, they are termed as shear thickening fluid. See, so you can see the plot for a shear thickening fluid is something like this on graph between shear stress and shear strain rate, and a shear thinning fluid B is having curve like this. So this is the behavior of a non-Newtonian fluid and the dependency of the viscosity on shear strain rate. So in the next class we will see the viscometric plot, how the viscosity of the polymer is changing with respect to applied shear strain rate. So I hope you people must have learned this, understood this and enjoyed this lecture. Thank you very much for your patient hearing.